Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are back with another comic book characters you may or may not know about. I already know that I did the Batman Who Laughs before. However, since that fateful day months ago, his history, his powers, his story has been, baby, don't you go up them steps, has been extensively updated, and we have a whole shit ton of information to get through. So again, like last time, it's going to be in a crap ton of parts. So and the reason I had to start over is because I was putting way too much pressure on myself to get this stuff done. So as I said, comic book characters you may or may not know about. This is Bruce Wayne from Earth 22, the Batman Who Laughs. Let us start at the beginning, shall we? This is Batman. So to start off, the Batman Who Laughs history is the same as any other Batman from any other Earth. When he was little, his parents got killed in an alleyway. He watched it happen. He vowed vengeance. He turned into the Cape Crusader. He took on a bunch of sidekicks. And his sidekicks, of course, include Batgirl, Red Robin, shut up. Why are you yelling at me? Nightwing and Red Hood, as well as the son he sired, Damian Wayne. In this world, Batman is part of the Justice League, and this world, Lex Luthor tried to become a hero and tried to convince the Justice League to let him into the league, and everybody was kind of on board, which is super weird because Superman should not be on board with that. Baby, shut up. And Batman knew that he really just was interested in himself and not really actually saving people. If you remember the information from the last time, everything kind of went sideways when the Joker decided he was going to go on a killing spree in Gotham, and he was just killing people. He realized that he was dying from the chemicals that turned him into the Joker, and he wanted to take everybody down with him. So he killed Catwoman, Penguin, the ventriloquist, and Killer Croc, as well. Just do what you're doing. As well as Commissioner Gordon, who sprung a acid trap on himself. He ended up being drugged and captured by the Joker, and the drug paralyzed his body but not his mind. So he was watching the Joker do all of this stuff without being able to do anything about it. And then the Joker proceeded to blow up a hospital. Of course, not only did he blow up the hospital in front of Bruce, but then he proceeded to shoot the parents of all of the young children there. So after blowing up the hospital, killing the parents of any of the young children that were in the hospital, he then proceeded to inject the children with an incurable strain of the Joker venom, so that they could die too. And once Batman regains his motion, his ability to move, he was absolutely completely traumatized and angry, and he broke the Joker's neck, killing him, of course. But unbeknownst to him, he inhaled some of the toxin that was contained within the Joker's heart that were released once he died. And as we all know, the story just gets worse and worse from that point. So 2 days after the murder of the Joker, Batman and Superman are talking about it, and Batman doesn't have any remorse about it. However, he does say that he is not going to make killing a regular thing. During the conversation between Batman and Superman, Superman assured him that Star Labs was working on a cure for the Joker venom to help the kids. And Superman mentioned that one of the kids bit the doctor, and Batman laughed at it, which scared the both of them because, it's Batman. A day after that, Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Robin, and Red Hood were at the Batcave training and trying to talk to Bruce about his worsening condition. And he reveals to them that the only reason he actually called them there was to prevent them from telling the heroes that something was wrong with him, because he knew they would be the first ones to do so. And then he shot them all to death. He later on convinced his son Damian to join his side and infected him with the Joker venom, as well as taking the Joker venom infected kids from. After successfully turning his son Damian and the rest of the children from the hospital that were infected with the Joker strain into his pet Rabid Robins. He went on to slaughter the rest of the Justice League fairly easily, I might say, with all of the stockpiled villain weaponry that they had just laying around for some reason. And of course, he took care of Supergirl by synthesizing a strain of black kryptonite and making her go insane, making her kill her own family before he ultimately killed her. Bruce's final transformation into the Batman Who Laughs was complete when he cornered Superman in part of the Watchtower by having kryptonite gas spread throughout the Watchtower. Cornered him into a room, brought in Lois and John. John is his son, if you didn't know that, and had a piece of black kryptonite thrown into the room. They kill Lois. They kill each other. He then went on to slaughter a lot of the immortal men, but he didn't realize how many of them there actually were. So the people of Gotham tried to fight back, but he pretty much annihilated everything that they ever threw at him until it was just him and his Robins. Sadly, the very last one to face him was Alfred. And Alfred almost succeeded in defeating him by rigging the cave, his equipment, his vehicles. And Alfred was almost there, but he was able to capture Alfred and lock him up, feeding him scraps and whispering into his ear, making him go completely insane until he mentally and physically broke Alfred, and Alfred became his servant again. Barbados came to him after Barbados's universe was ceasing to exist, and he told Batman Who Laughs about the dark multiverse and told him he wanted to take over the true multiverse. They then decided to team up to take over not only the dark multiverse, but the true multiverse as well. The Batman Who Laughs then went out into the dark multiverse and started talking to the most twisted versions of Batman that he could find. Batman Hatton, Hush, Batmanosaurus Rex. He was talking to them at the moment right before their existence was going to be wiped away, and appealed to their desire to stay alive as well as conquer something. So they all jumped at the opportunity, gathered together, and were waiting for the time to travel to Earth Zero. They were then summoned by the Court of Owls, and the Rabid Robins murdered all of the Court of Owl members, and Batman went to the Watchtower and attacked Cyborg. After taking over the Watchtower, the Knights were sent to different cities. Batman Who Laughs was stationed in Gotham, and because that's where Barbados was going to be fulfilling his final plans, he fought his way through Arkham Asylum, and gave magical playing cards made of cosmic metallurgy to the worst of Batman's enemies. The playing cards were given to Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Mad Hatter, Poison Ivy, Firefly, and Bane, and the cards were for them to manipulate the reality in the section of Gotham that they were in to their will. The Batman Who Laughs watched the carnage from the top of his mountain, and he could see basically everything that was happening. Nightwing, the Teen Titans, Suicide Squad, and Green Arrow all teamed up to create the Gotham Resistance so that they could fight against them. And of course, during this battle, Damian Wayne got killed, and the Batman Who Laughs did not care whatsoever. The database actually says he was unmoved. All right, during the Bats Out of Hell storyline, Batman Who Laughs was enjoying the Justice League being tortured throughout the world. However, his joy was interrupted when Cyborg came and rescued all of the members. He then revealed that he had possession of the Overmonitor, and when the Overmonitor is combined with the Anti-Monitor's astral brain, he's able to erase reality completely and just leave nothing but darkness. But his plan was interrupted, of course, by the Justice League and their multiversal counterparts. Now, during this fight, they realized that the Batman Who Laughs was only able to anticipate moves and things like that that Batman would realistically do. So the Batman of Earth Zero, or Prime Earth, whichever one you want to call it, decided to do something he would never do in his entire life, and that would be to team up with the Joker. Teaming up with the Joker did work. He was able to escape his evil counterpart, save the Overmonitor, and the cave that they were in collapsed on both the Batman Who Laughs as well as the Joker. With the combined effort of the heroes, the Barbados was stopped, the invasion of the Dark Multiverse was stopped, and the Dark Knights were either apprehended or killed by the League members that they were up against. However, the Batman Who Laughs survived the cave collapse. After surviving the cave collapse, Batman Who Laughs allied himself with the House of Conquest against the Council of Immortals. He ended up joining the House of Conquest in their fight for a world or a global destruction. Sometime later, he tried looking for Lex Luthor of Prime Earth and allowed himself to be captured by the Legion of Doom so that he could share his multiversal knowledge and his knowledge of the totality in Perpetua. During the Laughing House storyline, Batman Who Laughs showed back up in Gotham with another dark multiverse Batman called the Grim Knight. And they were trying to create like a serum out of all the dead Bruce Waynes to cause maximum destruction and chaos. To start their plan, they went after the Joker. However, when they made it to the Joker's cell, the Joker had went to Prime Earth Batman for protection. So Batman had agreed to team up with the Joker again, but it was a trick, and he tried to kill himself to activate the toxin in his heart to create another Batman Who Laughs. Why you would want to, I don't know, but whatever. And so at that point, Batman Who Laughs had kidnapped Commissioner Gordon and told him that he hoped that they could form a really, really good bond in his own twisted way. Batman Who Laughs and the real Batman met at Blackgate Penitentiary and began fighting, but because Batman Who Laughs was in like some sort of disguise, he was able to get the guards to attack the real Batman and escape. The Batman Who Laughs then went to the Court of Owls and asked them for a small favor. However, they refused and sicked their army of talons on him. However, he was thinking ahead, cut off all of their arms, and detonated some explosives to keep the Court of Owls from leaving, and proceeded to kill them all. So Batman from Prime Earth and Batman Who Laughs meet up again, and they fight, but Batman from Prime Earth was almost overtaken by the toxin from the Joker's death from earlier, and he was super excited to have another version of himself, but he considered Batman of Prime Earth to be the weakest of all of Batman's because he was uncompromising in his values and therefore the least happy. However, he figured in his mind that this Batman could be like the kick in his evil Bruce Wayne serum that he was trying to create, so he stuck a syringe in his chest. However, Batman of Prime Earth was saved by Alfred and a younger Batman from a different universe, and then Batman Who Laughs was beaten within an inch of his life with Bruce Wayne's own mother's tombstone and locked up in the Hall of Justice. Before being captured, Batman Who Laughs came up with a plan to infect the entire world, but he needed 6 heroes to start, and so he had coded 4 batarangs in the toxin that the Joker had used to turn Batman Who Laughs into who he is, and basically threw them into 4 different heroes: Shazam, Donna Troy, Hawkman, and Blue Beetle. While the Grim Knight had infected Commissioner Gordon, Batman Who Laughs had given a coded batarang to Shazam and instructed him to use it on Superman. Even though Superman wasn't the one affected, it was Supergirl who ended up being infected. However, a brainwashed Superman came to break Batman Who Laughs out of the Hall of Justice, and he asked him, what is your plan? And he was like, to destroy the entire multiverse. But it was all a lie and a ruse, and it was a illusion created. While he sat in his cell in the Hall of Justice, the real Batman and Superman went to track down the new Secret Six. While they were looking for members of the Secret Six, Batman Who Laughs escaped his cell at the Hall of Justice, and Perpetua, who was now working with Lex Luthor, assigned Luthor to find Batman Who Laughs and bring him to her because the energies from the Dark Multiverse were basically messing with her powers. While he was able to outmaneuver the Secret Six, Lex Luthor discovered that Batman Who Laughs infected 666 heroes. He ended up being saved by the real Joker, who told him to be himself in order to defeat Batman Who Laughs. So Lex Luthor assembled a team of villains to take on the Secret Six and the other 666 heroes. Knowing that the visor was the only thing keeping him grounded to this earth, Lex Luthor removed it. However, Batman Who Laughs tricked him, set off some explosives, and took the visor back. He then asked Supergirl to set fire to the area, knowing that fire was Lex Luthor's weakness because it was a weakness to his human alien self, because at this point he is Apex Lex. And he wanted, Batman Who Laughs wanted Perpetua to watch Lex Luthor die. However, Lex got up and basically defeated Batman Who Laughs and showed Perpetua his victory. And while he defeated Batman Who Laughs, he was able to free all of the heroes from the infection. However, it again was all just a ruse by Batman Who Laughs, who decided to tell Perpetua about herself. Laughs reveals that he learned everything about Perpetua from Barbados, and that the Justice League were actually alive and had been sent by the Quintessence to take care of Perpetua for good. He pointed out that Lex Luthor was so egotistical that he could not even perceive that the vision that he saw where everybody worshipped him may have been fake. He then bows and basically says that you should choose me to be your second in charge as opposed to Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor is an idiot. And she agrees. She strips Lex Luthor of all of his power that she had given him, turning him into Apex Lex, sends him and Mercy Graves back to Earth Zero, and basically makes Batman Who Laughs her second in command. After gathering up his forces to fight the Justice League, Batman Who Laughs fought the Justice League and was killed by Wonder Woman with a chainsaw made of parts from the Invisible Jet. However, he of course had a contingency plan for this. What is that contingency plan, you may ask? Well, he just so happened to come across a Bruce Wayne that came into contact with the comedian's button. That Bruce Wayne then built like a field generator so that he could study the comedian's button, and Batman Who Laughs decided to use him as part of his plan. So he locked him in that field generator and turned it on, and this Bruce Wayne became Batman Hatton. However, during this time, before he was able to become like omnipotent, the Batman Who Laughs lobotomized him and basically put his body and brain and everything just kind of like into storage, and told the other Dark Knights and Batmage where to find it. Because his head and his brain were still intact, the Dark Knights were able to gather the remains and transfer his brain into Batman Hatton's body. The Batman Who Laughs would then wake up eventually and start adjusting to his new body, but in the distance he overhears Batmanosaurus Rex talking shit about how he's not responding to his name, and he ends up disintegrating him. And he basically tells them that there's not a name for anybody like him. Perpetua then reaches out to Batman Who Laughs telepathically and basically tells him that if the others find out, what he's done, then they're going to come after him. And seeing as he had no more use for the Dark Knights, he disintegrated all of them except for one Robin, who he deemed the Robin King. And he uses the Robin King to keep Diana from renewing the multiverse while he's recovering. And this is my favorite part. So he changes his form one more time, and he just becomes a thin being of pure darkness and names himself the Darkest Night. Look at that. Beautiful. He does grow in power, and sometime later he breaks into Valhalla Cemetery to take energy from Wally West. So he notices that Wally West and Barry Allen are running, and he gleefully chases them down while taunting them. The Justice League are able to move the crisis energy from Wally to Barry Allen in the Mobius chair, but it was tampered with so that it would send to Batman Who Laughs regardless of outcome. And he was basically proclaiming victory and revealing that he had everything that he needed to remake the multiverse into his own image, called The Last 52. So he ends up going to Perpetua and like is telling her, it was all me, it was me all along, and he tells her that he intends to kill her. Even with the crisis energy diverted from him and being entrapped by her, he's able to escape fairly easily, and he kills her by entrapping her into fragments of the source wall. And then at that point, he brings in some of the original Dark Knights to help fight the dead and the alive people who were sent to kill him. So during this fight, he is approached by a golden clad version of Wonder Woman, and they fight through space and time, and he takes her back to the beginning of time at the hand of Perpetua. Basically, they fight. He tries to convince her to join his side, and she's like, hell no. And she throws him into the sun and kills him. All right, so let's get into his powers because the list has gotten extensive, okay? So we're going to start with nigh omnipotence, darkness manipulation, darkness constructs, biofusion, biofission. He also has dimensional travel, energy absorption, and energy projection. But of course, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop there. He has geokinesis, flight, infection, interstellar travel, invulnerability, immortality. He also has molecular reconstruction, size alteration, regeneration, disintegration. He has shape-shifting, reality alteration, power absorption. He has resurrection, summoning, superhuman agility, superhuman reflexes, speed, stamina, and strength, time travel, telekinesis, telepathy, precognition, retrocognition, and cosmic awareness. And then, of course, there was just the regular stuff he had: genius level intellect, peak human condition. His weaknesses, of course, were his weakness to nth metal and his mental illness, of course. And that is, in all of the parts that I can think of, the Batman Who Laughs.